What's up, everybody? What's up? Welcome to the live. Welcome to the live. We're here. We're here, right? Right? Welcome. Come in here. Come in here. Give me a like. Tell me where you're from. Tell me where you're at. Tell me where you're at. I just got home from court. Got an update for you guys. I was out in Santa Monica. We've got a few things going on. I saw Soulja Boy in court. He's on trial, guys. I've got the scoop. You got to come in here, and I'll tell you what's going on. We've got an update on Tony Buzbee and Jay-Z too. Believe it or not, this courthouse, this courtroom that I was in today, the judge who is overseeing Soulja Boy's trial, very coincidentally, just also happens to be the judge who has the Jay-Z's lawsuit against Tony Buzbee, Judge Epstein. So I'll be there on Wednesday too, but I'm going to go back tomorrow because apparently Soulja Boy might testify in the afternoon, although it might not actually happen until the next day. But I wanted to get back on YouTube. I've had a lot going on, guys, in the last week or so. I've been a little out of it. I actually had an eye surgery done. I don't know if I want to reveal too much, but I was kind of out of it for a few days and just kind of getting back to it. But it definitely helped my eyes a lot, and I think I'm going to be a lot more productive now that we are getting back into the swing of things. I got to get back into the YouTube algorithm. YouTube has been punishing me for my lack of activity on here, and they don't believe me that I've got a big scoop on this Soulja Boy trial. But let me introduce myself. This is here they are leaving court. This is my It's my friend Hillel. He's here. Actually, he's a reporter for Courthouse News Service. And shout out to Hillel for when I was kind of out of it last week. He was helping me. What I was asking him, what time's court, where's court, all that stuff, and he was totally had my back on all that stuff. I was able to get there and see everything today because he'd been filling me in. But yeah, Soulja Boy is being sued by a woman who he hired. She says she was hired for $500 a week to be his blunt roller and personal assistant. I guess they claim that she was hired for her blunt rolling abilities, but it's a sexual assault lawsuit that alleges a lot of really awful stuff. It's a rough case, and she is still testifying. She started testifying last week, and she testified today. Again, the cross-examination began today, and she's going to be back for more cross from Soulja Boy's lawyer tomorrow. But the defense on this is that this is consensual, that, she liked him, and now, she's kind of, she's making up stories about him to try to, try to get money from him. But the testimony has been all about, what went on when she was his assistant, and all these different things that she says happened. But it's a tough case. Like Hillel, the Courthouse News Service reporter, has seen a lot more of it than me. I just kind of saw the tail end of her direct exam today, and gonna see more of her cross tomorrow. But I guess her lawyer actually is the same lawyer who represents Megan Thee Stallion's former photographer, Emilio Garcia, is representing the woman suing Soulja Boy, and he is going to call Soulja Boy as a witness, an adverse witness. Probably it might not be tomorrow. It might not be until Wednesday, but he's going to call him. So, how's it going in there, Soulja Boy? Oh yeah, those are his lawyers. But they have a lot of text messages that they've gone over between her and him, and a lot of her text messages. And actually what was interesting today was the judge actually apologized to the jury for, and it didn't make... How's it going in there, you think? You gonna testify? It didn't make her lawyers look good because they were reading his text messages aloud, and apparently they started reading them in a voice or something. And the judge just said they were reading it in an accent. But the defense objected, and he sustained the objection, the judge did. But then today, when the jury came in, he actually brought it up again and apologized to the jury and said it was inappropriate on the court's part. Like it made the court look inappropriate to have a lawyer doing that. And he just emphasized that he, as the judge, should have stepped in sooner to stop it. And I don't know, it didn't make her lawyers look good, but I don't think it's like a clear advantage one way or the other. And I didn't actually hear the voice that the plaintiff's lawyer was reading the text messages and reading Soulja Boy's text messages in. But that happened last week. But here he is going into court. It's a really low budget trial. I mean, it's me and Hillel in the audience.
Boy. How's it going in there, you think? You gonna testify?
Of course he's not. But yes. So they don't think it's going to be over for a while. Probably not until April 2nd next week. I'm definitely going to be there tomorrow for more of her testimony and his testimony too, Tuesday or Wednesday. But I'm not sure how much longer I'll be around after that. But I am interested to see what the verdict is going to be on this. I mean, I couldn't tell you either way. The jury is definitely like a cross section of people. There are some like older men on there that like older white men that I'm just like, this has got to be like a completely bizarre testimony for them to be hearing. Like, but then there's, you know, younger women on the jury, that kind of thing. There's kind of a whole mix of them there. So yes. But here. There we go. This is Soulja Boy and this is his legal team leaving.
We'll be done tomorrow. Okay, good. So maybe a few more hours.
How's it going in there, Soulja Boy?
But yeah, again, he is being sued for sexual assault in a civil lawsuit. There's no criminal charges involved. He's not looking at any kind of jail time, but Soulja Boy is looking at potentially a lot of damages here. They haven't made a damages request. We'll probably hear that in closing argument, but you know, this could be potentially millions and millions of dollars here. And it's just a bad situation with a woman that no dispute she used to work for him. And she's suing under Jane Doe. We don't have her full name isn't out there, but she worked for Little Twist. She'd worked for other rappers before she got in with Soulja Boy, and he hired her as an assistant. But let me pull up one of Hillel's stories. He's been there again. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I was just out in court in Santa Monica today. I took the E-line actually out from downtown and spent the day in Mark Epstein's courtroom. I'll probably be there tomorrow and Wednesday too. He's great. He lets us use our laptops in court, so can't go wrong with that, Judge. But Hillel was there last week and wrote some more stories than I did. But let me Perm 914. Thank you so much for saying hi. And yeah, ASAP Rocky. Yeah. I was talking about that with Hillel today. He covered the ASAP Rocky trial too. And overall, I mean, you know, reporters like, it's happy for Rocky to get rid of that case. Like, the whole thing was just, I mean, yeah, I thought he was going to get convicted. I mean, just seeing that whole trial, and the jurors were hard to read, but the one juror I was like, I can definitely.
Who do you want to message?
Oops. There's my Siri. The one juror I thought I could definitely read was this elementary school principal. And I was like, dude, this woman is not having it, you know, like she wants to convict him. And it turns out I was right about her. She was like the one holdout, one of the holdouts that definitely didn't want to convict. But yeah, overall, that was a crazy trial to cover. But good for him for like move on, just get away from it. But thanks, Pim 914 for saying hi. We gotta revitalize the page here. I think I'm going to cover Karen Reed's trial, like do some posts like I did on the Young Thug trial. I think it starts April 1st or something, but I'll post openings and closings and clips of the witnesses and everything and that, because that was just really taking the internet by storm. There's so much divisiveness about that. But and Karen Reed is the woman in Massachusetts who's accused of killing her cop boyfriend. Her Boston police officer boyfriend prosecutors say she hit him with her car, but there was a federal investigation that's like a big part of it that actually is pretty favorable to the defense, like concluded like there was no basis for these charges, but there's all this drama with it. You look into it, it's there's a lot of stuff going on, but I've got to kind of get on it. But again, I was out in Santa Monica today for Soulja Boy's trial. Soulja Boy is on trial being sued for sexual assault by a former employee who is just going by Jane Doe here, but this is my friend Hillel's story. So his Soulja Boy's real name is DeAndre Cortez Way, and she says she was hired as a personal assistant. She held the job for 2 years, but she was subject to numerous instances of physical, emotional, and sexual abuse. She was promised $500 a week for working 20 hours per day, 7 days a week. Even as a romantic relationship developed between the two of them, he says he kicked her, punched her, spat on her. The complaint also claims he raped her. Like there was a lot of the testimony on that was pretty tough. But like I said, she's still on the stand. She was on the stand today for all day. She was the witness. The cross exam started after lunch. It started at the trial started at 10:30 and goes to like noon, and then they were back at like 1:45, and cross started then and went for until 4:30 or so. It's really slow going. Like it's definitely like a low rent trial. The Santa Monica courthouse is not the most glamorous place, and the courtroom is one of these outside courtrooms. And it's just me and Hillel in the audience in the afternoon. But
how's it going in there, you think? You gonna testify?
So the plan is that her lawyers are going to call him as a witness, I guess, maybe tomorrow or the day after that. So call him as an adverse witness to testify. But again, this is just a civil trial. It's not a criminal case. So he's not facing any threat of like jail time, prison time, anything like that. It'd be a big monetary damages fine if anything. That's like the worst case scenario for him. So it's not going to be over this week. It'll probably be over April 2nd. So we'll see what happens with that. But there's been some other stuff going on. I'll have to fill you in on the Jay-Z and Tony Buzbee update. That's kind of like the never-ending cycle. But where we're at on that, most immediately this week on Wednesday, scheduled in the same judge who's doing the Soulja Boy trial. Coincidentally, he's supposed to have a hearing on this. It's called a demur, but it's another, basically, for lack of a better term, like dismissal motion regarding the extortion and defamation claims that Jay-Z has brought against Tony Buzbee. And that's the attorney that sued him for rape and also sued Diddy and has like 15 or 16 other lawsuits against Diddy. This is the extortion and defamation lawsuit over the case that was now dismissed. And we've had just a flurry of filings in that. And what's interesting is that Buzbee is withdrawing as a lawyer from all these cases against Diddy. And because he's facing problems from various judges for not being registered in the Southern District of New York. And the most recently, he has a young attorney who's working with him and actually filing cases that he has signed his name on. Meghann Cuniff, she's a lawyer in New York, and a judge finally called her out on the fact that said that Mr. Buzbee improperly filed and litigated this case using the ECF credentials of local counsel, whose apparent complicity in his improper conduct may be grounds for sanctions. It's like, oh, there you go. But and so this was filed yesterday. This is Judge Viscasel in one of the lawsuits that the Candace McCrary lawsuit against Diddy. Because Buzbee was rejected on his Southern District of New York admission, and he applied for Pro Hoc BJ admission, didn't, and Diddy's lawyers actually opposed. And then he ended up withdrawing. All of a sudden, instead of seeking Pro Hoc BJ, he had like 15 withdraw applications in. And then Judge Viscal said, what's going on in this case? And that's when this Meghann Cuniff, who's his local counsel, filed the notice. And then that's when Viscal responded and said she could face possible sanctions for allowing him to use her ECF credentials without. And so she responded today and said, respectfully, that description is simply not true. Moreover, I cannot, by my silence, allow it to appear true. But there's a lot going on with this. She said, and the judge called her out in a letter earlier, said that she put in a filing that Buzbee had never been denied admission to a court, but that's actually not true because he was recently denied admission to the Southern District of New York. So that's where all his problems come in. So Meghann Cuniff's response to the judge today doesn't actually address that at all. It doesn't address her prior false statement about that. And she just says, respectfully, that description is simply not true. And this is in response to the judge saying that, quote, Mr. Buzbee improperly filed and litigated this case using the ECF credentials of local counsel, whose apparent complicity in his improper conduct may be grounds for sanctions. She says, respectfully, that description is simply not true. Moreover, I cannot, by my silence, allow it to appear true. The tone of this, I was really taken aback that this young, like, personal injury attorney was like writing to a federal judge like this. It's like, holy cow. But she says, first of all, she should have a lawyer doing this for her. But she says, I am co-counsel with the Buzbee law firm in this and numerous other cases relating to Sean Combs, both in federal and state court. The Buzbee law firm selected me to be co-counsel because I am a former prosecutor who has extensive experience representing victims of sexual assault. The problem is she says she's co-counsel, but if you look in all the cases, she's actually the only counsel. And usually in a case like this, well, Buzbee could have easily gotten approved in the Southern District of New York if just before he'd filed all these lawsuits or, had his law firm do all this work and then had Meghann Cuniff technically use her ECF credentials to file them, he had applied to the Southern District of New York. He probably would have gotten easily approved, but he didn't do that. And then he waited like a couple of months until after these were filed and then applied. And so he got rejected on that. We've been over that. But the other step is the pro hoc VJ application. And that's what I see a lot, like for out-of-state attorneys to, they can apply, they have a local counsel like Antigone Curtis. And what you would have typically seen in a lawsuit like this is Antigone Curtis would file maybe the initial complaint with Tony Buzbee, and it would say like pro hoc VJ pending. And then like that day or the next day, Tony Buzbee's pro hoc VJ application would be filed with Antigone Curtis's local counsel, et cetera, et cetera. And it would probably just be approved. But we never saw that in any of the cases. So for her to say that she's local or that she's co-counsel with them, it's like, well, maybe that's her business deal with them, and they have some kind of deal in writing that says they're co-counsel on this case. But if you just look, just judging by the federal court filing standards, they're not co-counsel. He's not actually a counsel in any of these cases. It's her who's using her credentials and to file all this stuff that has his name and signature on it. And I think it's just kind of, like I said, I was really taken aback at the tone of this letter that she sent this judge. It's like, this is a federal judge who just called you out and said something about sanctions, and this is your response to it. Like, it's not a very good defense what she's coming up with, because like I said, she's saying they're co-counsel and trying to say that the judge got this wrong, when like I don't think the judge is actually wrong about anything. Like, and going back to what the judge said, I think the judge was going to let her slide. It said it was that what she was doing could open her up for sanctions. But then later on in the filing, it says, let this serve as a warning, blah, blah, blah. So I think it was kind of over right there. But she's really like digging in here and wanting to move forward. And it's just like, oh, all right, well, we'll see what the judge says about this. But she says, the Buzbee law firm selected me to be co-counsel because I am a former prosecutor who has extensive experience representing victims of sexual assault. Mr. Buzbee did not file or litigate this case with my ECF credentials, nor would I let him or anyone else do so. I reviewed all documents in this case and filed them under my ECF because I approve them. I have been working alongside the Buzbee law firm to bring justice to our clients affected by Mr. Combs. It is true that Mr. Buzbee signed the complaint and several other documents as my co-counsel. At the time, I did not view that as problematic, nor did I view that as the entering of a formal appearance. And we apologize to the court for any misunderstanding regarding same, and will be guided accordingly in future filings. We thank the court for its time and attention in this matter. So I wonder how the judge is going to respond to this, because she's like I said, the judge was not really wrong in what she said, but if Antigone Curtis wants to dig in on it, I guess we'll see. But let me see here. We've got we've got a hearing on Wednesday in the Jay-Z Tony Buzbee case. And it's about what I think we're going to maybe get a final ruling about whether the extortion claim is going to be gutted or not. And right now, Jay-Z's lawyers want to actually take the deposition of Jane Doe and Tony Buzbee. They have a pending application to do that with the judge. So we should hear about that too. But because where we stand is we have the recording of Jane Doe answering, yes, affirmative, when Jay-Z's investigators are like, this sexual assault didn't happen. He didn't sexually assault you. But then we also have the declaration that Tony Buzbee got from her, and also a recording where she's saying, no, this did happen. So I don't know. I don't know if the judge is going to allow a deposition of her, but that'll be a big question. I think that's something we're going to get answered again on Wednesday. Again, this is coincidentally the same judge who's overseeing the Jay-Z Tony Buzbee lawsuit in Los Angeles is also overseeing the civil trial against Soulja Boy. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time in Judge Epstein's courtroom this week. But so that's kind of the big thing. Again, the Soulja Boy trial isn't going to be over until April 2nd, but the plaintiff's going to finish testifying tomorrow. He'll probably take the stand maybe in the afternoon, but it might not be until Wednesday. And then I'm not really sure what's going to happen. Like maybe they're not actually having court on Wednesday because Epstein has a civil calendar. Like I said, the Jay-Z Buzbee stuff is scheduled for then. But yeah, it's been a crazy time, guys. I don't know. Like I said, I've been like off the radar for the last week. I had I had some medical stuff going on, got some surgery going on, like kind of recovering here. It's going good. I think that'll really help me though. It'll be good. But there's buddy Hillel. Shout out to him. He's been covering this trial. And he hooked me up with the info.
We'll be done tomorrow. Okay, good. So maybe a few more hours.
How's it going in there, Soulja Boy?
He was leaving. But it's a pretty chill courthouse. Very low rent. And then some walking in. Here.
Oh boy. How's it going in there, you think? You gonna testify?
And yeah, again, the plan is, I guess the plaintiff's lawyer is going to call him as a adverse witness. But coincidentally, the plaintiff's lawyer, the lawyer who represents the woman suing Soulja Boy for sexual assault, also represents the Meghann Thee Stallion's former photographer, Emilio, and is suing Meghann Thee Stallion for harassment and all that stuff. But I got a photo of them leaving here. Maybe not. It's going to bring the files up. Sorry, I need to be a little more organized in my lives for you guys. I just got home, so I kind of just went up. But yeah, there he is. I don't have the attorneys here. But who is this Killuminati, dude? Yeah, that Soulja Boy stuff or that 50 Cent stuff is so stupid. There's like 2 people care about that, dude. Go away. But yeah, the Buzbee stuff again. Wednesday should be the big day in Epstein's courtroom. There are a bunch more filings to go through, but I mean, it's all very, very piecemeal. I mean, we've gone through the major stuff of the recording that Jay-Z's investigators have of the woman, where they're asking her, there was no sexual assault. Jay-Z didn't sexually assault you, and she's saying yes, no, like affirmative to all their questions, affirming that. And she also says in her own words that Tony Buzbee is the one that brought Jay-Z into it. So I think that's important. But then Tony Buzbee turned around and got a declaration from her where she says that, excuse me, where she says that it did happen and she stands by her claims. So again, the judge, Jay-Z's lawyers are trying to get the judge to allow them to actually take the deposition, which is like sworn testimony. It's just like being under oath on the witness stand, only you're not actually on the witness stand. They want to take the deposition of Tony Buzbee and also Jane Doe to get to the bottom of this. But Tony Buzbee's lawyers, who actually Camille Vasquez is one of them, who is one of Johnny Depp's lawyers. She's with Shepard Mullen now in Orange County, and she is kind of leading the charge on the filings against this. But she had some pretty choice words for Jay-Z's lawyers in their desperate tactics she was talking about the other in her filing, but saying that they're just throwing stuff at the wall, but legally there's nothing, they have no real argument, that kind of thing. So and thanks for tuning in, guys. I've been a little out of it. I've been out of action for the last couple of weeks, just getting a bunch of personal stuff done, but kind of back at it now. So yeah, the motion to strike and the demur, that's what we're going to have on Wednesday. We have the tentative ruling on the demur, which, remember, if you guys go to legalaffairsandtrials.com, my website, I've got my Substack, actually. You guys should subscribe. I've got some got some good stories on this, but I've got the story on the tentative ruling. We still, this was published on February 27th. We still don't have a final ruling on whether the judge is going to strike the extortion claim against Tony Buzbee or not. But that's what all the filings you've seen, the recordings of the woman, etc. They're trying to get the judge to let them take her deposition. It's Jay-Z's lawyers trying to make it so this extortion claim survives. But if you go to legalaffairsandtrials.com, I've actually got the tentative ruling linked in here if you guys want to check it out. But there's been a lot, but like I said, Wednesday will be a pretty big day. But again, I just wanted to get back on YouTube and say hi to you guys. It's been a while, and like I said, the algorithm is punishing me for not being around. But I gotta set like a regular live time and go live during the day and stuff. I might do a live tomorrow morning before I go out. Try to get a little more organized with my documents and everything. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys later.